everyone. This is Teresa Perkins, editor, host of Exposure Spotlight Magazine, where your voice matters. It gives me great honor to introduce an incredibly special guest on today, who is currently in the runoff of the 19th Judicial District Court election. From the year 1988 to 1995, she served as Chief Legal Counsel for the Louisiana Department of State under Secretary of State Fox McKeithen. She also served as an Assistant Attorney General for the Louisiana Attorney General's Office. She has practiced law for over 17 years before being elected to the bench in 1995. She was elected to Division D of the Baton Rouge City Court. She was the first African-American woman to be elected to the Baton Rouge City Court and the first African-American woman to serve as Chief Judge of that court. She also is the chairman of the East Baton Rouge Parish Criminal Justice Coordination Council. Everyone help me to welcome the wonderful Judge Yvette Alexander. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited about being here, and I'm just overjoyed to be in this election. That's November 3rd, and I'm excited to let the voters know why they should vote for me.
Oh, yes. I heard great things about you, and you have been in the, I guess you could say, in the judicial court system for a very long time, from my understanding.
I have. I've been a judge for 25 years, and October will be my 25th judicial anniversary. I'm excited about that. I have enjoyed my tenure. Being a judge is a public servant, and that's my calling. And so I have enjoyed walking into my calling and doing what I'm supposed to be doing in life.
Oh, can you tell us why did you make the choice of running for public office?
Okay, it's in my blood. Ever since I was young, my dad was a public servant, and he also was a minister or pastor of a church, which means that our whole life was spent being a servant. My dad ran for mayor in the city I grew up in. He was on the police jury there. So I saw that happening all around me when I was growing up. My dad used to tell us, we are meant to be public servants. That's what we do. And he showed us how to do it. My mom tells the story that when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a judge all the time since I was like 5th grade. She said that when we were young and we would play school, I always wanted to be the teacher. And then around 6th grade or 5th grade, I decided I wanted to be the judge. So we sit there and we pretend like we were in court. So I guess it was kind of destined for me to become a judge. I practiced law. I was a public servant then because I worked for the state. And when you work for the state, you must keep in mind that you're a public servant. You're there to serve the public. Yeah. And before that, I worked in the public defender's office, same thing, there to serve the public. So all I can say is that I have a servant's heart, and that's why I'm a public servant today.
Oh, that is wonderful. Allow me to ask you this, is that some people tend to see judges as being cold, uncaring. What would you say to that perspective?
I would say that that's not true. There may be some that are cold and you can describe as that. But for the most part, I think that the judges in today's courts have learned that we are public servants and we need to serve the public. Now, we have to keep order and justice and do justice and those kind of things. But we are community servants. We serve the community that we're in. So I would say to you that, no, that's not true. Judges are regular people who have an extraordinary job, and that job is to keep the public order intact. So that means that our job is to follow the law, use discretion when we can, be firm but fair, and to throw in some mercy when we can.
Yes. That is awesome, Judge Alexander. Allow me to say this as well. We have a caller who has a question, so we're going to go ahead and bring that caller in with the question. So, caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, ladies. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for your call.
For the judge, in light of everything that's going on in our nation, our state, and right here in our community, I would like to know, how would you handle injustice in your courtroom?
Okay. It's a great question. Thank you for that question. There is a lot going on in our state and our nation today where justice is concerned. The answer to all the problems that we're having where the injustices are being created is the court system. Because as you can see from the past, whenever there was an injustice, it happened outside of the court, but the ultimate decision from Trayvon Martin on down to Alton Sterling, it was left up to the court to decide. I consider myself the keeper of justice. And by that, I mean that my job is to make sure that there's justice in my court. Now, everybody might not describe justice the same way. And I also don't think it's a destination. I feel like it's a journey. Each case is different, case by case, step by step. So you can't just sit here and say, I'm going to do X if this is in my court. You have to know all the circumstances, all the situations, everything that contributes to it. So as far as I'm concerned, because of the way that I live my life, because of the things that have happened in my life, that's what you bring to the bench. Whatever has gone on in your life, those are the realities that you bring to the bench. I lived a life in the community. I have been in my community. I know my community, and I know when injustices occur. Is every police officer bad? No. Is every police officer good? No. Or is every person charged with a crime guilty? Absolutely not. Are some people charged with the crime guilty? Yes. So you have to take those circumstances that you have lived in your life, bring them to the courtroom, and make your decisions based on that. Now, a judge has to look at all the evidence presented to them before they can make any decisions. And the evidence has to prove whatever the outcome is going to be. I know that might sound like, I'm kind of trying to skirt the question, but I'm not. It's just the way that the justice system is set up that people don't have a trust for the justice system. And it's our duty to instill in them that trust, to know that when you come in a courtroom that's conducted by me, that it's going to be fair, it's going to be impartial, it's going to be just, but it's also going to have some mercy in there because that's what should be there. What 25 years of being a judge teaches me is that you can't just look at an object or you can't look at a crime and say, oh, yes, this is what happened. Oh, no, this is what happened. You have to take every grain of evidence, put it into the record, make the record complete. Because as you know, both of the city court and district court are both lower courts. Now, the district court is my appellate court for my city court. So all the decisions that I make in district court, the 19th Judicial District Court, so all the decisions that I make in city court, the 19th Judicial District Court is my appellate court. But the 19th Judicial District has the First Circuit Court of Appeals for their appellate court. So I say to you that justice is a pattern, or justice is something that happens every day. You can't just sit back and say, today there's going to be justice. No, it has to be every day. That's what we strive for, to get justice in our courts.
Hey, caller, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. It really did. Thank you so much for that, Judge Alexander, and we're going to hold you to that standard you just gave to us.
Thank you. I can be gladly held to that standard. And that's another thing. I have a record. I have a 25-year record that you can look to see. You can talk to people who've been in my court. You're always going to hear, Judge Alexander was fair. Judge Alexander listened. Judge Alexander wanted to see what the real issue was. Now, they're not going to always like my decisions, because that's never going to happen. 100% of the time, somebody's going to like your decisions. But as long as they say that you were fair and that justice happened in your court, then I think that's what's important.
Yes. Okay, caller, well, we want to say thank you so much for calling in.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, and let's see here. We had another caller on the line. I think we lost them. There she is. Okay, caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, and you have a question for Judge Alexander?
Yes, my name is Tom.
Okay.
I am undecided about this election, and I just want to ask the judge, why do she think I should vote for her?
Okay.
Okay, well, that's a fair question. I believe that you should vote for me because I'm the most qualified person in the race. When you go to the hospital and you need a surgeon, you want somebody with experience. When you go basically to a mechanic shop, you want somebody who has experience with fixing a car. So experience is important in our society. And with 25 years of judicial experience, that counts. That's why you should vote for me. I have a record. You can see my record that I have been fair but firm. You can see my record that people walk into my court and they receive justice. You know what you are getting when you get me. You are getting a judge who is a public servant, committed to the community, committed to my family, committed to the judicial system, committed to law. For over 40 years, I have been in this legal community. For over almost 25 years, I have been a judge. And so I know the courtroom. I have tried hundreds of thousands of issues have come before me in which I have tried to make a decision. We sat up and tried to find out how many cases I really have been over. And it's just too many to even count. In my criminal court, in 1 week, when I first got on the bench, we had probably 90 something cases a day, 90 times 5 times every 5 weeks I would be on criminal. So that would be about 10 months worth times 25 years. We were like, oh, we need our calculator for that. We can't even figure that out. And that's just on the criminal side. I have also tried civil cases. Same thing, maybe 2 or 3 civil cases a day, times 5 is 15, times 10, that's 150, times 25 years. So that kind of experience is not experience that you can get as a practicing attorney. Besides the fact that I practiced law as a practicing attorney for 17 years before I became a judge. So the law has been my life. And the reason why I look so young is because I started when I was 3. No, I'm only joking. But because I went to undergrad school for 2 years, I took the LSAT. My score was high enough that I could get in law school without an undergraduate degree. So then I went to law school and I graduated from law school in 1979. So I have been at this for a very long time. It is my life. It is what I love to do. And my father would always say, if you find something you love to do, you never work a day in your life. You're just doing what you're called to do. Yeah. You're doing what you're supposed to do. So that's why I think you should vote for me. And the other reason is I'm going to the district court because I feel like I can affect my community more over there. 25 years in city court. I've done the work. I've worked hard. I enjoyed it. It's been an honor for me to have served the citizens of the city of Baton Rouge. But it's time for me to go on and serve the citizens of our parish, the entire parish. So that's why you should vote for me, because I'm the most qualified. I tried the most criminal civil cases. I've tried them as a lawyer. I've sat in judgment of them as a judge, and experience counts. And I'm an experienced judge you can trust. You know that every day when I walk in that courtroom, my job is to make sure that justice prevails in that courtroom. And I'm the overseer of that. Yes, across the street, they will have juries, but I get to give the charge to the jury. I can make sure that they are making the right decisions. And what else can you count except for experience?
Well, Judge, you done summed it up, and it sounds like you just a total package, which me, myself, I am scared of to have a speaking to you, but you is the total package, and I think me and my family would get together because I didn't know, what you come with, with your package, but it sounds like you're the total package. And I will be
family to vote for me. Number 8. Thank you. November 3rd. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. No, November 3rd is the election day.
Okay, but I can't go early vote though, right?
That's right. Early voting. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, early voting is
November 3rd. That's what I need to know.
No. Early voting is October 20th through October 27th, except for Sundays. But there's a case going on where some voters sued the Secretary of State because of COVID. They want more time for early voting. They want voters to be able to cast their vote without being afraid of catching COVID or getting the COVID. So they have sued, and yesterday there was a ruling that said that early voting should be October 16th through the 27th. Now, that case can be appealed, so I don't know if that's final or not, but I'm just hoping that it is, because I believe that every citizen that wants to vote should be able to go and vote. This is a very, very important election on November 3rd. In my opinion, all elections are important, but this one is really important because of the things that are at stake. It's the presidential election. And it's also local elections for mayor, council people, judges. And so no election nor any office is not important. They're all important. So you need to vote. And when you vote, make sure you vote down the whole ballot. Don't just stop at president, because that's the national scene. The local, they used to say all politics was local. And what they meant by that is that the local politics is what affects you, your family, and your life. So you need to make sure that you vote down the ballot through all the local elections and make your voice heard. Your vote is your voice. So if you don't vote, then you don't have a voice.
Amen.
So
okay, I was just trying to see when it was the early election. So early voting is going to be October 16th, according to the ruling yesterday, October 16th through the 27th, except for Sunday. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your call, and thank you for having an interest in this election.
Yes. Thank you so much, caller. We greatly appreciate you calling in, okay?
Okay.
All right. Have a good one. Okay. Judge Alexander, you're doing a wonderful job answering these questions. And of course, we have another caller as well. So caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead with your question for Judge Alexander, please.
Okay. I listened a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, to Miss Tiffany Foxworth. And I wanted an experienced judge like Judge Alexander to answer this for me because there's a lot I don't know about court systems. But she constantly said repeatedly that she makes the decision. She makes the decision. And I just was wondering, and I wanted to find out, will a jury be part of this, or she will be the one that's making a decision? Because she said it at least 3 times, and I'm just trying to clear everything up for all the listeners.
Okay.
So who makes that decision? Will that court have a jury there?
Hey, that's a great question. District court is different in that the trials over there, there will be juries present. Now, you can ask for a trial by judge, but only in certain instances. The majority of the decisions in that court, in that criminal court, are made by a jury. And Louisiana just changed its law to say that they have to be unanimous juries in certain situations. So the judge doesn't really make the decision on things like murder, those kind of things. The jury makes the decision on that. Now, they have something that's called notwithstanding the verdict, that a judge could overturn a jury's decision, but that rarely happens. When a jury decides, because you've heard this all along, you have a right to a jury of your peers. And so that's in the Constitution. So yes, you're right. There will be juries over there. The judge is kind of like, an overseer maybe. They watch to make sure that the jury knows all the charges, what the charges are, what you need to prove to be able to be found guilty of the charge, the lower charges that are included or the lesser charges that are included in the greater charge, those kind of things. That's what the judge has to do. But the jury is the fact finder in most criminal cases.
Well, thanks so much for that answer, because I listened attentively, and not one time did I hear the word jury.
Well, the jury is the one who's going to make the decision in district court.
Okay, well, thank you. And I guess this is a great thank you for, because I wanted an experienced judge to give me an answer, but I did try to call in when she was on the interview. I tried to call in maybe 5 or 6 times, and I couldn't get through.
Okay.
So thank you so much for clearing that up. But that's something that needs to be out there, that she will not be making all the decisions. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your call, and thank you for being an informed voter. That's really good. Thank you. And please vote for me and take your whole family.
Because I waited and I listened, and not one time did she even say the word jury. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, thank you, caller, and you have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, you're welcome. Awesome. Let's see here. Okay. Well, look, Judge Alexander, allow me to ask you, which division of court would you say is the most challenging? Would you say family, civil, criminal?
Well, I would say that the judges in all those courts have a big job. In family court, probably one side, there's going to be one side that leaves that's unhappy all the time, but you have to just stand up and make the decisions. Now, in East Baton Rouge Parish, we have a separate family court. We have a separate 19th Judicial District Court. Constitutionally, that's how our court is set up. However, in the rules of court across the street, they have decided that the first judges elected will be criminal court judges. And then after you've been on there for a certain length of time, you can move up, is what they say, to civil. So I guess whoever made that rule thought the civil judges was where you should go after you have a little experience on the court. Mm-hmm. I would say they all have the same amount of value. They each serve a purpose. If you're doing criminal stuff every day, you know that criminal code back and forth, you know the code of criminal procedure, you can concentrate on that. You can put your whole body, mind, and soul into that. If you're doing civil, then you know the civil code, you know the civil code of procedure, and you can put your whole mind, body, and soul into that. So they're equally as important because they all make the unified judicial system. We also have juvenile court. You know, we have a separate juvenile court in East Baton Rouge Parish, which means that the 19th JDC, the family court, nor city court, we don't have juvenile cases. They all go out to the juvenile court. So I think specialized courts are the way to go, because then the judges can concentrate more on that area of that section of the law and keep up with it.
Yeah. Okay.
In the rural counties, they do a mixture of everything. And I think that they have to, because they're smaller. When you have a metropolitan city like Baton Rouge, you can divide it so that you can have judges who become experts in that field.
Okay. Well, look, we have another caller on the line here. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You have a question for Judge Alexander?
Yes, hi, Judge Alexander. I'm Byron from Baton Rouge, and I was calling in. I wanted to ask in regards to the reentry court, and how can we help these individuals when they come out, and how can we have if we do elect you, can we count on you to help us with the reentry of those individuals who make mistakes, and when they get out, that they need someone to help them along the way?
That's a great question. I'm a big proponent of specialty courts, reentry court, veterans court, sobriety court, drug court, those kind of courts, because once again, they're specialized courts that handle a special issue, a situation. Judge White started a reentry court, and I'm not sure what the status of it is right now that she's moved up to civil, but I hope that they are continuing it because it serves a great purpose. Everybody has a past, everybody has a present, and we all hope for a future. People that have a past and have paid their debt to society because they have been found guilty of a crime should be able to come out and start their lives anew, and should be able to move forth as productive citizens in our city, our state, and our nation. But what happens is, if you've been incarcerated, then when you get out, if you don't have anything, you can't start anew. So what will you do? You'll go back to your old ways of doing things instead of moving forward from what you've learned while you were in prison. So I'm a big proponent of reentry courts. When I'm elected to the 19th Judicial District, I will investigate and try to make sure that that court's still in existence. And it may be still in existence. You know, there may be somebody doing it since Judge White moved to civil, but I just can't answer that question. But I can tell you that when I'm elected, I will make sure that that court is moving forward. What happens in our society is that people get out of jail and they just get out of jail without anything, nothing to build on. But a reentry court will help them, number one, have a job when they get out, have a place to live when they get out, and help them move forward so that they can become the productive citizens that they were destined to be.
Absolutely.
I hope that.
And I also think that it also will help with the recidivism as well.
Oh, absolutely will help with the recidivism. That's what I meant by, if they have nothing when they come out, they resort back to their old ways of breaking the law to get what they need to get. But if you can help them move forward, then they don't have to do that. they'll have something that they can use to move forward. They'll have a place to live, they'll have food, they'll have a job, and they could move forward with it. The National Association of Women Judges, which I'm a part of, we went up to the jail in Tallulah, and they actually have a school there where the ladies can learn to become beauticians before they even get out. So that when they get out of that, after the incarcerated period, they have a skill. They have something that they can just walk out and they're licensed beauticians. So those are the kind of things that we have to work for. I applaud the judges that do those kind of things, and I think that they're wonderful things to do. So yes, I will definitely be a part of that. I will work wholeheartedly to make sure that it continues, because it was a great work that was started by Judge White.
Yes. I just want to add this to a few years back, we had a meeting with Secretary James LeBlanc, and of course we went down to New Orleans to Judge Laura White, who was running the Reentry Court for the New Orleans Parish Criminal District Court, and she explained to us in great details how important it was. And I just pray to God that, number one, that you're getting elected, and then number two, that you can be instrumental in either getting it back or maintaining it in some kind of way. Thank you so much, Judge. You've answered my question.
Thank you for your question. And I know Judge Lori White, she had that court. It was started, I think, by Judge Arthur Hunter, and then she inherited it.
Right.
She inherited from Judge Arthur Hunter. So you're absolutely right. That's a wonderful court that they have down there.
Yes.
Thank you for your
talk. For your time, and I'm voting for you, and I hope that everybody that's listening vote for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, caller, so much. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Oh, awesome. This is so awesome. Listen, Judge Alexander, I want to ask you, with the BLM, the Black Lives Matters movement, and the whistleblowers in national politics, it can be said that the public is losing faith in a fair and a faithful justice system. As a judge, what measures do you take to prevent bias? And along with that, do you believe being a Southern judge and an African American judge carries a heavier responsibility as well to decide what is fair and what is excessive?
Well, I'm the president-elect of the American Judges Association, and diversity is a very important aspect of our programming. And so is implicit bias. Because what happens in the court is you take your life experiences, what has happened to you, what you think is right and wrong, all that becomes a part of your decision making. So we have these tests that we take when we go to the conferences, and it'll show you where your implicit bias is, and you won't even know what they are. You know, it just, you look at it and you go, oh, really? Because you don't know. So in order to be able to get past that implicit bias, you have to consciously think of it and consciously remember that that is something that is in you that was put there by years of living or the way you have lived. The second part of your question was, do I think Black African American judges have a different goal, not goal, but a different responsibility
to decide what is fair?
Yeah, to decide which is fair. My first answer to that would be no, because everybody should have that same responsibility. But in reality, that's not true. So as an African American judge, what we have that's a little bit different from our colleagues is that the percentage of African Americans that come before the court is higher than the percentage of non-African Americans that come before the court. So in that instance, I believe that we have a higher responsibility, because it's my community that's coming before me. And by that, I only mean that I have a responsibility to listen, to understand, and to communicate. Sometimes there could be just a communication problem, you know, that in this world we live in is so divided right now.
Yes.
That neither side wants to listen, or neither side can listen, because their heart and their spirit is so tied up in what has happened. African Americans, including me, we're so tied up in all the wrongs that we see have been happening to our people for no reason. The other side, I would imagine, is thinking they are not treated any different than we are. But if you look at the statistics, you can see that that's not true.
Right.
So if you believe in statistics, which most people do, they always say, give me something concrete, or give me some numbers, or let me see what's really happening. But you have to be willing to open your eyes. You have to be willing to accept it when you see it. You have to be willing to say, this is wrong. I know it's wrong, and I need to do something about it. The whole movement has been about Black Lives Matter. And then people want to say, well, white lives matter, blue lives matter. Every life does matter. But that's not the problem. That's not the issue right now. The issue right now is that you have seen day after day, we can even say hour after hour, day after day, month after month, our fellow Black, our fellow African Americans are dying unjustly.
Yes.
So we can see that. Yeah. They used to say, well, judges can't talk about that, or judges can't be involved in that because they might be the cases might come before them. And that's all true. But we have a right to speak up for injustice anytime we see it, everywhere we see it. We can't just sit back and hide behind our robes saying, oh, I'm a judge, so I can't do this. Oh, the canons don't allow me to do this. You have the same constitutional right of free speech as any other person in these United States of America. So yes, we have a responsibility to stand up. We have a responsibility to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves for whatever reason. And we have a responsibility to make sure that justice comes in our courts.
Yeah, that's great. Look, I have another question, and then I have one more after that, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
There has been much discourse about the reform of drug laws and punishments. So what is your stance on nonviolent drug offenses? And what about defendants who are suffering from addiction but may have committed violent crimes?
Well, like I said before, I'm a huge proponent of specialty courts. And that's where specialty courts come, or where they can do their best work. The last situation was somebody who commits a crime and it's based on them being addicted to drugs. That's where the drug courts come into play. You have to have drug professionals that know about drug addiction, that know the causes, that know the relapses, to know what happens along the way. Most judges aren't professionals in that aspect. So when they put together a drug court, they get all the professionals together. It's called a team. They take each case, individual case by case, and they set out a plan for that individual. I believe that most nonviolent crimes, or people who have committed nonviolent crimes, there's some underlying reason. And that's what we need to get to. It's not that they went into the store and they stole something. It's why did they go into that store and do that? Was it because they need to have their behavior changed? Was it because they were hungry? Was it because they were addicted to drugs or alcohol? Was it because they don't know right from wrong? I mean, we need to find out what the underlying reason is that it happened. And once you find that out, that's what you address. Yeah, I'm not going to say that, you know, you can be convicted of stealing 10 times and you shouldn't get a punishment. But somebody who steals 10 times, there's some underlying reason why they're doing that. You and I wouldn't go in a store and steal.
Right.
We know right from wrong. We have been taught that by our parents. We know that when you do something wrong, there's consequences for that.
Absolutely.
The choices you make, that's what determines your life. You know, we've heard that all our lives.
Right.
These individuals may not have had that. So you have to, that's what I mean when I say you have to look to the circumstances. You have to look to the situations. They might have grown up in a house where that's what people did. They went in the store and they stole. So that's what they were taught. So they thought, okay, I'll do that. You know, you just can't really just say every time somebody steals something, you're going to give them 6 months in jail. You can't do that. You have to find out the underlying reasons, the underlying causes, and try to treat that first.
Right.
So I believe that you have to leave it to professionals too. Like, you can't just sit up on the bench and say, oh, I know everything about drugs. I know everything about alcohol. I know everything about mental health. I know everything about the veterans and what they have gone through, and now they're back here. You can't do that. You have to have mental health professionals, drug professionals, alcohol professionals. Even if you had a housing court for homelessness, you have to have people who have been trained in those situations that can advise you and help you to determine what the sentence should be. So I'm excited about going to district court. I'm excited about the specialty courts they already have over there. I'm excited about what I can add to those courts. I'm just overjoyed about it. I'm excited. So on November 3rd, make sure you go out. Make sure you vote for Judge Yvette Alexander, number 80 on your ballot. If you'd like to know more about me, go to my website, which is www.judgealexanderfordistrictcourt.com. or call the campaign number at 225-236-6172. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have for me. Follow me on Facebook, the Committee to Elect Judge Yvette Alexander, or on Instagram at Judge Alexander for District Court. Find out about me. Read about me. You will see that I'm the perfect fit for District Court, Division M. If you vote for me, or when you vote for me on November 3rd, I won't let you down. I'll be the same judge that I've been in city court. I will carry that over to district court. Yes, the crimes are going to be more serious, but the more serious crimes need a judge like me. I will be over there and I will do my job. I will help my community. I will listen. I will have an open ear. And I will be there to dispense justice. In my court, justice will always prevail.
That is awesome. You said that so well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Extremely well. You said it well. So everyone that's listening, you heard from the one and the only Judge Yvette Alexander. Again, that ballot number is 80. And you want to vote on November 3rd. And I am so excited to have this opportunity to interview you as well. And you have given some great information concerning yourself. And, you know, so we will look for great things to happen and to take place. Is there anything else that you would like to
One last thing, and the caller brought this up. We have to push early voting, especially for the part of our community that they have underlying conditions, that COVID-19 can affect them adversely. So the early voting is October 20th through October 27th. Hopefully, the early voting will be October 16th through the 27th to give everybody more time to vote. You must go vote. Voting is the way that you communicate what your desire is. So when they say your voice is your vote is your voice, that's really true.
Yeah.
No vote, not one vote, is not worthy of being cast. So go to early vote October 16th through the 27th, excluding Sundays. And then if you don't get to do it then, make sure you do it November 3rd. Sometimes we get busy. November 3rd is just one day. So don't take that chance. Go and early vote because you don't know what you'll be doing on November 3rd, and you already have that taken care of. So please go vote. Judge Yvette Alexander is going to say Yvette Alexander on the ballot, number 80 for District Court, Division M. I humbly ask for your vote.
Well, again,
thank you so much for having me, Ms.
You are so welcome.
This has been wonderful. Wonderful.
It was my pleasure.
And I feel so at home. I felt really good with the questions. They were very good questions, things that people need to know about the 19th Judicial District Court and things that people need to know about voting. It's not too late to register to vote. If you're not a registered voter, you can do that and make sure you cast your vote. Thank you.
All right, great. And thank you. And you heard, like I said, once again, from Judge Yvette Alexander, ballot number 80. So thanks again, Judge Alexander, for being a part of Exposure Spotlight Magazine talk show, because your voice, it matters.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For having me.
Have a good evening.
You too.